Electric vehicle sales are up in the air. Mercedes has reported canceling the entire EV platform. The GMC Hummer EV is cancelled. Honda cancels the plans with GM for affordable electric SUVs. And the latest, Fisker has literally gone bankrupt. Buyers are quite literally fed up with getting pushed and told that they have to buy this, they have to comply, they have to take on electric vehicle technology before 2025 or 2030. People don't want it. And while there's a small sliver of the population, the early adopters, so to speak, that are loving their vehicles, the vast majority of the population wants nothing to do with electric vehicles. Whether they live in apartments, they can't be supported there, whether they suffer from range anxiety, or a lot of these vehicles literally just ravaged with technology that are literally ready to drop at a hat. People want what they know. Simple, easy, effective, reliable. I can drive from here 8 hours. I got to fill up once or twice. That's okay. It only takes me 5 minutes at each stop. That's what people want. They don't want to be pushed and told that 10-hour trip might take 3 days, 4 days to get there because of charge stations or lack thereof. People want something simple. The population is screaming for it, and yet these manufacturers and the government's saying, no, you got to have it. The cost of living crisis is real, and it's crushing everybody. Every man, woman, and child in this nation is suffering a hard line. The U.S., I was just recently in Vegas and I was walking up the strip and I couldn't believe the homelessness. I couldn't believe the people sleeping in gutters or in the back alleys. I couldn't believe the amount of beggars. I couldn't believe the amount of dirty pants. People crap themselves because they couldn't afford a place to crap or even a food to eat. I couldn't believe, even in Canada, the recent news is that 1 in 4 families now is finally considered below the poverty line because of heavy taxation, cost of living crisis, and a brutal government that literally has no idea what the country needs. Regardless, suffice it to say, heavy inflation, high interest rates, heavy taxation are all enough to cause this cost of living crisis. People don't want expensive electric vehicles, and it's starting to show. Mercedes-Benz, the EQE, EQS are starting to go by the wayside. As you see, they've been canceled or essentially going to be canceled. I look online and I see brand new EQE, EQSs, and now after a short year later with 2,000 or 3,000 miles on them, they're literally selling or being sold or attempted being sold for half of what they were brand new. Porsche Taycan, same storyline. You lose 40 to 50% after the first year of depreciation. The Audi e-tron, 50 to 60% gone in the first year, as well as the Ford Mustang Mach-E, not selling. Very few people want them unless they're heavily incentivized. And even Ford's Ford F-150 Lightning, not selling all that well. Even though Ford claims that they're the best-selling full-size electric truck on the market, that's only because who's their competition? Who's selling electric trucks? Very few. The Tesla Cybertrucks tried it, but that's way too far out there for most people and they don't want it. So if they want an electric truck, really that's almost the only game in town, other than Rivian, which is also more or less a startup operation. So I've personally had a long-term loaner Tesla Model 3 long range, and I didn't mind it. I mean, I understand where a lot of the early adopters are coming from. They get behind the wheel, they say, you know what, it's quiet, it's peaceful, it's serene, it's got immediate punch, it's quick enough performance to outrun most high-performance sports cars, science fiction-like, and as well, very futuristic. And at the same time, they're also touting that they're good for the environment, which that's always debatable. We know what the ores and the mining that it takes to extract the metals that go into the batteries, but well, that's for another discussion. The fact remains is you can't pull the wool over a lot of people's eyes, and that's just the fact. Now we're starting to realize with companies like Hertz unleashing half of their fleet on the electric vehicle segment means that they're done with heavy expenses on maintenance, repairs, insurance, and that's the other piece a lot of people are starting to realize. A slightly damaged battery or a scuff or punctured battery or even body panels often leads to a total write-off for a lot of these electric vehicles, thus driving insurance rates through the roof. Performance tires that go on these are pricier than what a lot of people are looking for in a regular utilitarian vehicle. Only people that come from places like driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis can attest that those tires make sense in terms of their cost. A lot of people don't like the added cost in driving electric vehicles, as well as the initial buy-in price is through the roof for a lot of these vehicles. But due to all these challenges, including BYD knocking on the back door trying to get in with their low-priced vehicles, a lot of the old school ICE manufacturers like Ford, GM, and Stellantis are all trying to manufacture a lot of these EVs, just trying to get ahead of the game. Of course, realizing that the majority of their vehicles are sold at a loss, and only way that they can make that up is on their internal combustion engine vehicle sales. And a lot of these old school manufacturers are starting to realize the hard way that selling an electric vehicle is a very difficult proposition. Not only do you have headwinds and a lot of resistance from the general population, who are the very people you're trying to pitch this to. You can put lipstick on a pig, but you're still a pig. And at the end of the day, even Kia, for example, is trying to realize some profit gains as well as some cost elimination, because there's two major cost impacts to building and manufacturing electric vehicles. Number one, of course, is the labor costs, which we see ultimately skyrocketing, especially in North America with UAW strikes, and of course the increased wages that we've been seeing in the last year, as well as the sheer battery costs. And so while you have now Kia is considering the latest to bring their EV3 production over to Mexico. That's right. They're looking at trimming costs either through cheaper purchasing of battery materials and as well as reducing labor costs going to Mexico. Because Kia is pitching that as a $30,000 EV that's going to be extremely competitive, likely the type of vehicle a lot of people are looking for, and still eligible for some of those tax credits. And then we have Volvo, the S60 Recharge, which is the highest mileage plug-in hybrid vehicle in the fleet. It's actually getting pulled back in 2025. Sales are in the toilet, nobody wants it, and Volvo's reading the writing on the wall and actually literally removing that model from their lineup. What a sad day for electric vehicle lovers, in fact. And while, like I said, I've driven them and I can appreciate the benefits from the driving perspective, the quiet, the plug and play, the vehicle's always charged in the morning, you don't ever have to fill up. The fact remains is, for a lot of people, broken charging stations, lineups, range anxiety, high insurance and maintenance costs all mean that a lot of people aren't quite ready to get on the wagon yet. Yeah, instead of having that $60,000 or $70,000 Tesla, price that at $25,000 and you'll see people will come. So while Volvo confirmed several years ago that their gasoline vehicles out of the Southern Carolina plant where those vehicles were built, Volvo actually ruled out on Monday making the S60 an import. And for those wondering where the beautiful little V60 wagon's gonna headed, that's not clear yet, but the writing's on the wall as well. So generally, even Volvo and a lot of these other manufacturers that are tied with the electric segment are starting to see that people aren't buying these vehicles, and a lot of these companies are losing their shirts. And while they can't entirely give up the ghost, because you still have these big push from regulators, and then the government's pushing down, and then you get all of this in your face about doing the right thing and making the right decision for the environmental reasons, the bottom line is 1 in 4 families in Canada are broke and don't have a pot to piss in, and as a result, they just need something cheap, dirty, easy transportation. Forget about flash and dash and all the latest technology. I'll be the first to admit, I came back from Las Vegas, and I had an Uber ride in a Polestar, and it was cute, it was fun, it was fresh, and it was a little bit different than the Teslas that actually had a dashboard, so it felt a little more conventional. But it is, in fact, still the range anxiety and all those other attributes that are causing people the resistance to actually get on board with buying an electric car. Now, another devastating blow to the electric vehicle segment is Fisker, the American startup organization, which coincidentally has already been filed for bankruptcy many years ago. And yet, recently, they created another vehicle here, the Ocean, which is also proven to be a fail. And we've seen other YouTube content creators go out there and actually sample the Ocean and have significant problems with quality control and glitches that they had to go back to the manufacturer, and they even sent their senior field techs to come out and try to troubleshoot and diagnose, only to find out that there's far more complex issues with the vehicle and that 90% of the bugs are worked out, but the vehicle isn't quite ready yet. Now, I'm all about startup investments and organizations that start from the ground up and try to be innovative, because I really do believe it's great to see people trying to take down the big companies. You know, the GMs, the Stellantis, the Rams, those companies. It's nice to see other companies trying to start something fresh with some fresh ideas and new management. And I do appreciate literally where Fisker is trying to come from. So it kind of pains me on one hand to see a company like this struggle, but on the other hand, it's in the EV segment, and we know that people are just not ready to buy electric vehicles just yet, or not enough people. I mean, they do have a lot of benefits, but clearly not enough to keep people kicking down the doors. So on Monday, Fisker failed to get additional investment capital to continue on with their Ocean SUVs. So it sounds quite possible that their liabilities have neared their total asset value. No bank, no lender is going to give you capital for that. And to add to the problem, Fisker has followed the asset-light model that involved contract manufacturing. And so yes, this isn't the first time, this is now the second time Fisker has gone out of business. But just in case you have been shopping, and maybe you're shopping for some of those slightly new old stock, right there, check it out. There's a new problem with this market with a lot of brand new vehicles that are sitting on the lot. You're going to want to see that video. It's going to tell the whole storyline. Hope to see each and every one in the next one. See you real soon. Bye-bye.